Peace, family. Welcome to 7Generations Black on CTN Media, where we are changing, cultivating, creating, challenging, controlling the narrative. Go ahead and share this out right now on your station. I don't know where you're tuning in from, whether you're on our Facebook stream, our YouTube stream, or if you're on an audio stream, it doesn't matter. I want you to share this with someone else in your network. It's time that we have this unbot conversations from one of my favorite teams with this Takeover Tuesday. Make sure you share this right now. And if you're not following us on YouTube, stop what you're doing, going over to YouTube and follow us at CTN Media. We need you to keep supporting independent media. And don't forget to ring the bell. Yes, ring the bell and make sure you're notified when new shows come your way. We're a network that is for the people, by the people. So ring the bell and then go ahead and super chat us up. Keep showing love to the independent media out there as we continue to control the narrative. Welcome again. We're super excited to have you here on this Takeover Tuesday. You are tuned into a very special episode. And you know why this episode is so special? It's our year anniversary, y'all. We made it to 1 year. Yes, you are tuned in 7Generations Black, a podcast powered to equip, inform, and clear your lens. Present you with a new perspective with my phenomenal team. Let's bring them out here. Where they at? Where they at? Oh, there they go. Yo, welcome to the screen. My phenomenal team that helps me do it every single week. Theo, EJ Wilson of Shop Talk Live. Mr. H Soul. He's in the building. H Soul, are you there? Oh, my computer's just crazy. H Soul, the Righteous Rage Institute, the one and only Lethal from the Honorable Protective Initiative, and holding it down for the ladies, Jice Johnson of the Black Business Initiative. I'm your host, Shay J, and we are 7 Generations Black. We have made it to a year. When we talk about why we started these things, I think so many things came into mind of why. But of course, we have to start off with the one and only thing you know that happened about a year ago, the pandemic. COVID-19, the pandemic struck. And what were people doing more than ever? They were turning on their TVs, they were turning on their computers, and they were looking for an outlet. But what we've seen is our community needed a voice that they could trust, a voice that we could really strike some amazing conversation. We've talked about everything on this station. This is absolutely one of my favorite shows to be a part of. When we talk about politics, we talk about systematic oppression, we talk about economics, we talk about the power of our culture, the Black family, whatever it is, if it's Black, we're digging in, we're digging deep, and we're talking about it from a 7-generational lens. So if you tune into any episode throughout this year, I know you've got some gems dropped on you. We even have prophets. Wait, what is it? I was going to say a prophecy. He's not a prophet. He's not a prophet. My guy, Lethal, what do you give out? Is he muted? That phone's not muted, though. It's a year in, and we still have phones going off and stuff. So you know this is a real unboxed conversation.
That wasn't my phone. That wasn't my phone.
Proverbs.
It's probably soul.
I agree. It's probably so. So is in America, seated at a table. So this is great to see. You never know where we're tuning in from, but we're excited to have you with us today. Again, do me a favor, share this out on your network right now before we get into this conversation. It's time to talk about why 7 Generations Black is here and why we're here, not just here, but why we're here to stay. Let me hit you with a red pill alert first. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. This is your opportunity to stop listening and tune out now. And if you do, well, the story ends and you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. However, if you take the 7 Generations red pill, you stay here with us in a liberatory discussion, and we show you just how deep the rabbit hole goes. Now, as always, the choice is yours. Welcome again to 7 Generations Black. It's our year anniversary. Do you know what today is? It's our anniversary, y'all. I'm so excited to do this with you. Yet another Takeover Tuesday. I got my dope panel. Let's get into why 7 Generations Black. I definitely want to hear from each of you why you said yes to this show, why you continue to commit to this show. It's not easy coming every week and really being a voice for your people and knowing that some people aren't going to agree with you. Some people don't even understand why we're talking about what we're talking about. Some people just want to hear the entertainment value, and we really dig into some educational pieces as well. So I really just want to start with why 7 Generations Black, and why is it as relevant today, a year later, as it was when we started this at the brink of the pandemic, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all the things that were going on, shaking up our culture. Theo, why are we doing this? Why is it so important to you? And why is it important for you to be a part of this process with 7 Generations Black?
Thank you so much for having me, Shay.
Yes.
7 Generations Black is the only proper and possible lens to sift through all the confusing data that we as Black folks have to deal with. So what is the path to freedom? How do you discern, should we do this? Should we integrate deeper into America? Should we fight for certain battles? Are these intersectional things really worth our investment, right? There's so many ways that we could look at all of these different struggles. But the 7 generational lens to me says, let's start looking at things from not only a long-term, but a generational perspective, right?
Yeah.
And so that cuts through a lot of the intersectionalities. It cuts through a lot of the confusion. It tells you which pathway might be a dead end if it doesn't lead to 7 generational success. So that's why we're here. And a year later, this is the year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. Let's call it what it was. The system decided to barely, by the skin of its teeth, convict this dude of murder after only the world being set on fire. Did it take one cop to get convicted for what everybody saw it was? And so what I think is necessary is for us to analyze, are we in a better position now? The statistics would say no, because of how hard the pandemic was on specifically Black-owned businesses, sole proprietorships, most of them, as Jice will tell you. So we have a setback in generational wealth as well that we're dealing with, just like what happened after the crash of '08, but even worse now than it was then. So 7 generational lens is actually more relevant this year than it was last year when we first started. And that's why we're here on the show, making it happen.
Making it happen. You hit some key things that I think it's more relevant this year than when we started. And so those of you who've been rocking with us for a year, we don't take it lightly. We say thank you. Jice Johnson, the key visionary of why 7 Generations was even really a real thing, why this baby was really birthed. When you thought about always being a part of the economic revolution, but thought about having these different perspectives really come to a table and start to dig into our culture or lack thereof, dig into the things that were really plaguing us on a daily basis and not just the surface level of that. Why 7 Generations Black, and why is it still relevant today?
Yeah, So first, I'm just excited because it's hard to get things to get going consistently. Okay. So I'm really, excited because this group of individuals that's here on this podcast, if y'all have tuned in at all ever, you would know that this is a group of scholars and also activists, right? So, not only are we very studious in what's happening with our community, but also like we're a group of folks that are boots on the ground and are active inside of our communities. And it's difficult, to coordinate. But I think one of the things that really has been special about this is the fact that we have recognized that there is a need to discuss issues from a 7 generational lens and to think about how our actions today are informing and impacting what happens in the future, right? And so I think, we all recognize that we're standing on the shoulders of our ancestors and that they, all the different things that have happened to this point have brought us to this moment. And for all the ways that we can find at times, and be critical of what has happened in the past, the flaws of, the civil rights movements and, flaws of some of our thinking and flaws of some of the ways that we've gotten where we are. It's brought us to this moment where we can begin to think about how intentional we need to be in order for us to move forward for the next 7 generations. And what I love about this is that we've cultivated a variety of viewpoints, right? And so while we are all of one accord and think in the idea that the Black community needs to think about how to advance, the ways in which we see that come from a variety of lenses. And I think that's important because we always talk about how our community is not monolithic. And this panel right here reflects the fact that we are not monolithic in our thinking or in our utility inside of our community.
We are not monolithic. I love that. So many things throughout this year, I think, really sit on me heavily on what we start to speak about, what we start to unpack, all the different viewpoints, the conversations I've had outside of here based off of one of your viewpoints that I've had, kind of sit in different conversations and spaces. Hey, so you have been a real piece of an educator. You're an educator out here. You're a healer. And I think the one thing that we recognize as a people is that we're really good with sweeping things under the rug. We're really good at trying to just survive. We're really good at, passing on trauma and really having this component of let's heal and let's heal together and let's have some holistic healing. Why 7 Generations Black from a healer's perspective, knowing what we need? Why do you do this and why do you see it to be a relevant venture?
Wow, that's a great question, Shay. First, I just want to give credit both to you and to Jice for being the drivers behind us reaching 1 year, right? Like this would not be happening without either one of you. And I don't mean that in some Black queen type of way. I mean, really some making sure that we get the emails, making sure Negroes show up on time, making sure that we have the login. I mean, all of it. So really, you all are both the fuel behind this. So thank you both for being so consistent and dedicated to this project. To your question, it's a, I feel very blessed, and I say this oftentimes. I think Jice and I had this conversation not too long ago. Like, these are some of the smartest people that I know, right? Like, Theo's absolutely brilliant. Lethal's absolutely Black, like blacker than Black. It reminds me of Big Black Africa in that one, the Spike Lee flick. And Jice, of course, is always coming with such a powerful and unique economic perspective, which I tend to be very suspicious of. Not her, but Black people when it comes to economics. We're always on some funky finger production pyramid scheme type of shit, and Jice really cuts through all of that. And so all of that stuff is needed now, like you said, more so than it was a year ago. Because right, it's just to my point, I'm seeing Black people go crazy over Bitcoin. And I mean, it's the next, there's Latino groups forming. There's all kind of, like, we're always looking for the next, like, something, right? And there's no shade on that. I'm just saying that's why we need voices like this one. And so I think everybody on this show is a healer from their own perspective, and they bring a certain amount of bringing wholeness to our community that's desperately needed. So I'm just really honored to be amongst.
Man, I love to hear that. I don't know who's watching back there, but I see a lot of people tune in. Share this out with someone else. We're at our year mark, y'all. And I think this needs to get out to the culture more now than ever. When he started to really unpack that for why he's present and saying that Lethal is blackity black, black, black. And that is one thing that I think is such a refreshing moment, not to be afraid to be black and not to be afraid to take the wool and take it from over our eyes and not be afraid to dig in deep and the wealth of knowledge you come with, the power you come with. Lethal, why 7 Generations Black? Why do you commit to this and why is it so relevant now today as it was a year ago?
That's a very good question. And as I was listening to everyone give their spiel and their piece, I agree with everything that's been said so far. But for me, on a personal tip, I think my story, my perspective, is a bit different. It's a bit unique from some of the other panel members, but at the same time, it's quite common as far as the Black experience is concerned in this society. I sit here before you, humbled and honored, knowing that statistically speaking, I'm not really supposed to be here. You know, I am, and I don't hide, you know what I'm saying? Because I view it as a personal struggle that if other people can benefit from, then it's not for me to hide. But, you know, I am the son of high school dropouts, mother who, you know what I'm saying, was abusive and neglectful, a father who was abusive and neglectful in the streets. I mentioned not too long ago how I used to observe my father beat on women to provide him with money and use that money to then turn around and put a little bit of, you know, blood money pocket change in my pockets. You understand what I'm saying? This is a platform where I have the opportunity to give those in our community who are coming from a similar background such as myself, but have risen above the fray and the fracas of Black life in America, a voice and an opportunity. This is why I often wear the different shirts that I wear. Let's make integrity, character, and honor great again. Not to say that we as Black people have ever lost our integrity, character, and honor, but sometimes we go astray. Sometimes we get off the beaten path and we lose our way. And we forget the sacrifices of our elders and we forget the sacrifices of our ancestors. And it's not to say that we're guilting anybody into doing what's right today. It's just to say that, hey, remember who you are. Show them who you are. Show them where you come from. Show them what we are. This is that platform where you will always get 100% unadulterated, unbought, unbiased, unbossed Black love from staunch, unapologetic advocates, period.
Ooh, that Black love. Speaking of Black love, you guys have all made some great points. I see you in the comments. I appreciate that. They love your shirt, Lethal. Everybody loves your shirt. I see them in my personal comments. We don't sell that.
Let me say something. Let me say something about this shirt.
Go ahead.
This is a Black-owned company.
There we go.
It's called agfaith.com. You can go and look this brother up. agfaith.com. He has a lot of gear. It's my man TJ. Some people out there know who he is, right? But I do this, and every other shirt that I've ever worn, every other sweatshirt I've ever worn, every other hoodie I've ever worn, have all been Black-owned companies.
That's what it's about. We're supporting our own. We're building with our own. I feel like H-So was trying to show his shirt at the same time. I don't really know what's going on. But make sure if you guys want to check out some dope apparel, shopbbi.com as well. Check out Lethal's boy. Let's keep uplifting Blackness and the beauty of what's going on in our culture. I have to say thank you to What does it say? What does his shirt say? I can't even see.
My bad. I had to look real close. It says I'm billing you for this conversation.
I'm what?
I'm billing you for this conversation. That means hit the super chats.
We're billing I was like, okay, and that's been brought to you by a super chatter. Make sure you super chat us up right now. And then we want to do a special thank you to our sponsors. This show has been sponsored by Pitch Black. Pitch Black is coming to you on let's see. The applications are open right now. The Pitch Black competition will take place this year at the Black Boss Summit. This is the first year, our inaugural year. The grand prize winner is $10,000. The second prize winner is $5,000. This is open to any and all Black entrepreneurs with an incredible business idea. You have an incredible business idea. You want to pitch Black. This is a Black Shark Tank. We want you to go ahead and get your applications in right now. The deadline for those applications are June 11th, and it's going down right now. We have so many great applicants, so go on over to the blackbosssummit.com, get your application in, and let's pitch Black. This has been brought to you again by the Black Boss Summit. Make sure you guys check us out and be a part of this year's summit as we are being resilient. Tickets are on sale right now. Going over to blackbosssummit.com. Let's adapt, perform, and thrive together. Now, I hope somebody super chatted us up so we can pay these bills. All right. So you guys, as we're thinking about 7 Generations Black and we're at our year mark and we're looking at the things, that are going on right now. And a lot of people will say we haven't got very far. A lot hasn't changed. Some people would even say it's worse. We're kind of going into this post-pandemic world, but I don't even really know what that means. We've touched on so many things. We've even really digged in a little bit to leadership and what this looks like. And I've had some dynamic conversations outside of here now about people questioning what leadership should look like. I want to hear about what one of your favorite episodes was and why you think why it was so relevant to have that episode, because we've talked about a lot of things on this show that don't happen on your other Black stations. They just don't. These conversations have happened. Jice, what was your favorite show and why was that show your favorite?
That's a good question. I feel like we've had so many, honestly, we've had so many really dope and honest conversations. And I think the honest conversation piece where we can really dig in has always been great to me. But I would say probably one of my favorite ones is one of the ones that we did in the beginning. And I don't remember the title off the top of my head because I didn't know Shay was going to ask that question, but it was around economics. And, but first of all, because y'all know I like economics, right? Like I want to know where the money reside. But in that space, I think, one of the things that we've seen happen with all of this since the pandemic, and the hard part about it is like the pandemic did, in my opinion, the pandemic really did nothing but highlight the issues that already exist, but it allowed the issues to come out mainstream, right? And gave an opportunity for us to talk about them in ways that many of us have been talking about them before, but had not been heard and had not been allowed a platform that could get out to the masses, right? And so I think that's important to note. But one of the things that we've always needed to, and we're going to have to keep doing, is really being focused in on where the money is coming from and where the money is going. Like the basis of, how our liberation comes about is really through the money and through the policy. Yeah. And that's what controls our everyday life. And I think, sometimes for me, it's always tough to really figure out how to have those conversations with Black people because, our focus when it comes to economics and money and politics is all over the place, right? It's usually like, how can I get mine? And what is being handed out and where are we going with this? But it's really not looking at, how this money is flowing, who owes us what, how we should be putting our foot on the gas, and this is something that I'm gonna keep talking about. And I don't know if that comes up here or in other places, but we've been talking about reparations. And I'm 100% pro reparations. We've been talking about reparations from the government. We are not talking about reparations from the banks. So I think there's just so many spaces and places that we need to be educated about where we've come from in order to inform how we move forward. And our money is top of priority for me.
The economic guru, Jice Johnson, the Black Business Initiative. Make sure you're following her on this journey if you're ready to get your coins together and get your pockets lined up right. Theo, EJ Wilson, you are out there 24/7. You're fighting policy. You're showing up in spaces that we normally don't get to see our faces. What has been your favorite conversation right here on 7 Generations Black?
I think my favorite conversation was around leadership because there's a lot of trauma we have around leadership. You see, the question ain't really about why are there no Black leaders often, but why has Black followership fallen off so real? And in that question unpacks the unity question. You see what I'm saying? because there are mechanics to unity that have to do with leadership. It just is what it is. A lot of unity depends on one focal point, and a focal point can be an idea or it can be a person. And we aren't focused right now because integration did bring us under the power of the spellcasters through their media. It brought us under the power of the spellcasters through their corporate entities and the folks on Saks Fifth Avenue and Wall Street. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. When we lost autonomy as a Black community, we began to look for ourselves through the eyes of those who had been most invested in us losing ourselves. You see what I'm saying? And so the leadership question is paramount to how to heal that. And that was my favorite conversation that we had.
Absolutely one of my favorite conversations. I think there will be a part 7, 8, and 10. I don't know.
Yeah, we went over that.
Yeah, we're going to have to hit that again.
And again and again and again.
Right, because it's necessary. So those of you tuning in at 7 Generations Black, share this with someone. Because I think that the conversations, they really are like onions. There's so many layers to these things. And we can't tap it one time. You got to come back. It's so good, you got to hit it again. Lethal, what has been one of your favorite conversations that we had right here on 7 Generations?
Every conversation with Soul has pissed me off.
Why is that so important to have two different perspectives where we can really shed light on our community, in different ways?
Nah, you know what? I'm cracking fun right now, but I really enjoy the banter. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I need it, right? And I think it's good for the community. You understand what I'm saying? Because it steel sharpens steel. You understand what I'm saying? And all of us up here and a lot of our brothers and sisters out there watching and listening, they're steel as well. And we all sharpen each other. We all keep each other sharp. And so one of the things that I like to do after an episode is, one, I will watch it again, right? But then two, I take advantage of the opportunity to do even more research and to do even more digging. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I know, like, after the episode is over with, come 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm banging y'all in the head with a bunch of
period.
We wasn't gonna tell the inside.
We weren't gonna tell nobody.
Talk about family business.
Right. I wasn't gonna tell nobody because I done got a couple looks at myself like, well, who is that texting? Like, no, it's just Lethal. Don't worry about it. It's Lethal. Like, okay, Lethal. Oh, okay.
Oh man. But you know what though? That's really what I enjoy, right? I don't really have a particular favorite one because I think all of them are just that are equally important, right? And so it's really hard to single one out, right?
Yeah.
But I will say, for me personally, any topic, any subject, any episode that deals with us having to dig into why we refuse to allow ourselves to hold each other more accountable for our abilities to be responsive, those are my favorite ones. Because in this day and age, there's no excuse. You understand what I'm saying? In this day and age, I can see if we had 1 or 2 George Floyds, right? But we've had thousands, literally thousands. Mm-hmm. I can see if we had 1 or 2 political election cycles where we were let down. But I've been let down my entire life.
That's good.
And we talking half a bill here. We talking 50. We talking half of a century. You see what I'm saying? And so I just really don't understand. I get it. Okay, we want to talk and PTSS or whatever. Okay, I give some people that. But some of y'all out there, y'all are just lazy and complacent. You need to get your asses off your fucking seats and get up out here in these streets and do some work for your people, period.
And that was brought to you by Lethal. Do some work for your people. Get out of the streets. I feel you. That was real. Man, it's been a year, so we're at a year mark. Please tell me, what has been your favorite moment here on 7 Generations Black as we've been building out for this year?
No, I echo Lethal's point. It's really difficult to name one particular episode that, stands out. I just think of so many times, where somebody is just bringing out a point and we're all just like hyped about the point that they're bringing out. Yeah. And that's the part that I really love about, over the course of the year. Just like I said, I love being in the room where everyone is smarter than me, because it pushes me to the next level. And so over the course of the year, in year 2, I'm really hoping, and I'm hoping that we can move towards a more enlightened position where we can start, really maybe getting back to the gospel, start talking about, white baby Jesus and, things that will really help Black people. We've tried all this other shit before. It's now time to give it over to white Jesus. And on that note, I'll turn it back over to Lisa.
I'm done. I am done. We will not be taking it back to white baby Jesus, but I do need you guys to share this with someone in your network. Yes, go ahead and give them the crazy eyes, girls. I see y'all in the comments. What I am looking for, though, I think I echo what you all have said. All of these have been some amazing episodes, some amazing conversations, some amazing times we've digged in. I think for me, some of the best times are the moments where I have to stop and reflect on my own life and say, have I been really perpetuating that narrative? Have I been a part of seeing that? Even when we looked at internalized racism, some of those signs I had to start saying, like, did I see this in my life and not even realize that happened? We talk about the power of our culture. So many times we realize what we can't do, but we don't talk about what we can do and what we are doing with our coins. There's just been so many times that we've really unpacked some things that have made me had to stop, sit, and really say, now, how do I look at this for the best of 7 generations to come? When we think about what we want for our viewers and going into this next year, what do we want? Of course, I want y'all to comment more. I want y'all to ring the bell. I want y'all to support independent Black media. And I want you to share this with someone, because these are the conversations. I know they're not always as entertaining, but it's edutainment. We combine the two with a little bit of education, a lot of education, and a little bit of entertainment. And when you bring those two together, I think we can really shift our culture. What do you want for our viewers this year for 7 Generations Black?
That's anybody I can throw?
Yeah, you go.
Okay, because I would say, okay, I'm done with you.
So we're gonna have to ask you. We will not pay you for this conversation tomorrow. Your shirt is null and void because of those comments in the chat. We're done. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jice.
I would say that one of the biggest, things that I'm looking at is now. Look, I done forgot my whole point. Somebody else go, because I'm gonna come back, because all the way up. Look, I know everybody can't see. Ace is over here doing the most. Okay, this is what we have to deal with.
Full disclosure: he has joined Kanye's church. He said, "Make Americans Kardashian again." Now I heard that Drake might be taking Kanye's woman, so I don't know what's gonna happen. Go ahead now. What do we want for our viewers in year 2? What are we trying to do with our culture? Where are we shifting them to? What do we want them to grab onto? Where can they join with us to align for this next year?
So for me, I will say, I want us as individuals to stop thinking and feeling that we're powerless, because we're not powerless. We have power. It only takes 1 or 2 individuals to make a difference, right? I'm a part of a group called the Crew Scholarship Fund. And for the past 4 or 5 years, we've been giving out 3 or 4 scholarships every year. The first inaugural group of scholars, they all graduated. And we take pride in that, investing in our future, because that's what the children are. That's who our children are. They are our future. And if we can instill in them the spirit of turning around and reaching back and giving back. And then they do the same thing, and then they do the same thing, and then they do the same thing. You begin to understand what I'm getting at. You understand what I'm saying? It goes back to something Theo said, right, in an earlier podcast, in an earlier season. It only takes one generation to turn this shit around. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So imagine if 4 people, 5 people, 6 people who are always going out on Friday nights, Saturday nights, getting together, going to the lounges, going to the clubs. What if they decide to take that money that they would spend at this weekly outing and just set it aside as a group and establish a scholarship fund and give it to a couple of deserving children who want to have a higher education? Because every little bit helps. Even if it's just $500, it helps. You understand what I'm saying? And they won't forget, they will remember. You know what I mean? Just think about that. We are not a powerless group of people.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want going forward in the future. I want our people to realize their strength individually and collectively.
Thank you for reminding me of my point. That was one point.
I knew that would bring you back. There you go.
We do have, I do feel that one of the things that, is on my heart is for us to really recognize who we are and what our strengths are, right? And I think, part of us continuously pushing the support independent Black media is because of that representation, right? Because who we are and our history and our future and how those things connect and tie together just isn't being, pushed out on mainstream media, which we're inundated with. And I think, we talked about that, right? It's like, what was it? The infodemic, the age of the infodemic or whatever, right? But it's like we get this constant flow. It's a 24-hour, 24/7, 365 flow of information. And so much of it is misinformation. So much of it is disinformation, and how do we, really work through and decipher what that looks like so that we can be informed on how to move forward. But, I think the other, not just thinking about how, who we are and how important we are, but also for us to really start digging in and thinking about how to not be intellectually lazy. And I think that is something that happens with all the information that comes at us, right? And one of the things that I look at is how do we have a discourse and a dialogue, right? I love the fact that Lethal and H are oftentimes on different, ends of the spectrum. Theo and I are super close in real life. Like that's my homie, you know what I'm saying? And we're oftentimes on opposite ends of spectrums. And it's like, it's the ability for us to be able to have intellectual dialogue and get our brains thinking and being able to see from different perspectives that are both informed, and then being able to figure out how we move forward. And unfortunately, it's not just that Black people are intellectually lazy. Like I want to be really clear about that. America is fucking intellectually lazy, but I don't want America's problem to be Black people's plight, to where we, what's that saying? Like if America has a cold, Black people got, the flu, right?
We have the flu. We're dying.
We're dying.
Yeah.
When white folks are intellectually lazy, that is not the same thing as when Black folks are intellectually lazy. It doesn't have the same impacts. So we don't have the somebody help me out with the right word. We don't have the luxury of being intellectually lazy like they do. And I really hope that we can dig into conversations like this, so that we can go ahead and start moving things forward. Here it goes.
Don't look at it, guys. Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
I'm done with H. I can't today, sir. Move him from next to me, Shay. He doesn't belong next to me today.
Yes, Jice. I love this. This is a great space for Black love as well. So if you're looking to find love or give love, dang, she moves you across the room. This is the place for that. I second that motion.
We see this.
If we're looking for Black love, this is the place. Because I feel like what better place than find somebody like-minded for Jice on the platform, or for H, or for Lethal. I don't know what's going on anymore. However you guys want to get it. 7 Generations Black. We have hit our year mark. Today, we're just doing a little bit of reflecting on what this year has been like, what we've earned, what we've gained from this show, what we hope that our viewers have gained, and what we hope you'll do with us as we go into this next journey. As you know, we're going over to an audio version as well, so there'll be plenty of different ways to get this 7-generational conversation. We like to do this thing called a mindset moment and a mindset shift. When we talk about 7 Generations Black, one of the key components was really making this a better space that we know we may not be able to see it, but for our kids, the 7 generations out, how do we really create the spaces that we want to see? I'm so grateful to have CTN Media, because the whole premise of this was really being a space where we could challenge some narratives and do what we want to do and be unbought and unbossed. That's why it's important that you guys super chat us up. It's important that you support independent Black media, because these are how we keep these things not just going, but growing, expanding, and hitting the culture the way it should. As we think about this, I need a mindset moment shift. Going into second season, what are you giving this audience going into second season? How are you shifting so that we can shift this culture? I want to know what this unbossed perspective is going to be going into second season. I mean, second year, not second season, second year. Let's hit it with it. Go ahead, Jice Johnson, hit us off.
What am I hitting this off with?
What?
I'm still laughing at H because he's ridiculous. There's a whole nother side conversation going on in this.
I think somebody's about to propose right now to you. I think what's about to happen, we're about to get another proposal coming up, Jice.
It just hit the chat room. Breaking news, it just hit the chat. Like I said, y'all thought I was joking. It's already up there.
It's real. It's real.
It's real.
It's real.
Did you have a mindset shift? Well,
we're going to do our mindset moment. In our mindset moment, we talk about what we want our audience to receive. We've talked about our favorite moments on 7 Generations Black, why we do 7 Generations Black. I want to know, what are you bringing in this second year to 7 Generations Black? I think that we all have, there's some beautiful things that you guys all highlight different spaces in this. But what are you bringing this year to the table to help really shift the 7 generational conversation? I'm gonna start off with you, Jice Johnson, our economic guru.
All right. Well, I think I'm bringing. What am I bringing this year? This year,
what you bringing?
I feel like this year more and more I am bringing a spirit of Black excellence, right? I'm even building my brand on that. I got a book dropping on that. Like I really want to dig into, you know, the space of which I believe we come from. Like I believe we come from excellence, and I think we need to make sure we are not equating excellence to perfection. I think we are not romanticizing excellence, but I think we need to really think about what does it mean to be to have a spirit of excellence and to operate from that space. And I think when we start to think that way, and if we're infusing that spirit of excellence into our next 7 generations, like there's no way that I think our people can lose. I think that means that we have to see ourselves, we have to love ourselves, right? And begin to really work on and eradicate and heal that internalized racism that we've talked about. We have to really, move ourselves in a way that not only considers who we are and our own individual needs, but how we can also contribute to the collective, right? So it's both and I think that's a space that we have to operate in. It's not like I have to think about the people or I have to think about myself. It's I have to think about myself and I have to think about the people. And I think that if we start to see it from both of those spaces, and think in that space, more of a holistic space and less from a detractor. A space of detraction, then I really think that we can start to make strides in this time, because I think this time is a historical moment for us to really make moves.
I'm with you. Let's make these moves. My girl Jice Johnson is bringing Black excellence. Don't look at the chat right now. Black excellence is what she's bringing. So, what are you bringing this year? Clearly, you're going to be the comedy relief of the hour. What are you bringing this year to 7 Generations Black? What can the people expect from Mr. H. Soul?
Now I know that's funny, but it ain't no joke. We gotta make sure that our crews, our sisters are protected.
Yeah, they don't play that.
Protected with saying. I want to be a millionaire within the next year or so, to be honest with you. So I'm rocking with Jice. I recognize two things. One, that I want Black people to really rearrange their habits. We have really bad plantation habits, and we like to fault what's happening to us based upon white folks. So we're always playing this zero-sum game. I think LETHOL said it before. We are always Like there's some of us, yes, the PTSD and blah, 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 say Skippy. But then there becomes a point where there has to be a a line in the sand where we say, no matter what is put up against me on the other side of the chessboard, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to succeed regardless. And until we have that mentality, and that's the thing that I love about the people on this show, every single one of them, if you catch anything that they're talking about, Theo talks about the success sciences. Jice talks about healthy habits. Lethal talks about mindsets. We are all about changing the mindset, because the rest of the shit that we're talking about, we could talk about the pandemics, we could talk about Wall Street, we could talk about all that shit until the cows come home. But unless we change our fucking mindset, unless we change our habits, ain't nothing going to change until we change.
Speak, brother. Now, I almost wish we had a piano for that one. That was good. We are coming through it, rearranging our habits. So we have Black excellence. We have rearranging our habits.
My piano ain't even set up right. My shit ain't set up right now. It's all
not set up.
We'll
give you a pass this time. Lethal, we're going into year 2. What are you bringing to our 7 Generations Black family? What should they expect from you in year 2? I know it's going to be unbought and unbossed. What else can they expect from you in year 2?
I want them to remember this, and I'll give a brief explanation of it after the fact. No matter how beautiful and well-crafted a coffin might look, it will not make anyone wish for death. You understand what I'm saying? So understand this. Understand this. No matter what these politicians put before you, no matter what this Mzungu-dominated society puts before us. There's a doctor out there, a sister, a queen mother, name is Dr. Jamil Sims, right? She's over on African Diaspora News, right? She says they don't get to determine who we are. They don't get to define who we are. We define who we are. We establish our own standards. You understand what I'm saying? No matter how beautiful the package is put together and handed to you, please remember that this is a society that was never intended to be constructed in any way, shape, form, or fashion for us. I remind you of 1638, that's the year, 1638, Maryland Exclusion Act. Okay? It says in that act that no Black person will ever be able to benefit from and or enjoy the fruits of a white society. You understand what I'm saying? If that does not motivate you to get up off your behinds and do for yourself and do for your own, then what is it gonna take? Because I've said in the earlier podcast, not enough of us has died yet. And if that's what it's going to take, then be prepared and don't cry in this year coming up into 2022 when there's more George Floyds and Breonna Taylors being flashed in front of our eyes.
Right.
There's a way we can do it. We just need to be willing to do it. That's all. That's all.
We just need to be willing to do it. I love that. Thank you for that, Lethal. They don't get to determine who we are. We define who we are. No matter how beautiful a coffin may look, it will not make anyone wish for death. I love it. We have Black excellence coming in here. We also have the rearranging of our habits. The guy who kicked us off in this very liberated conversation, Theo E.J. Wilson. Year 2, what can the people expect to get from you in 7 Generations Black? What are you bringing?
Defining the end game. We have to have the goal clearly in mind.
Yeah.
If you study how anything successful works, the subconscious mind of a human being is an incredible thing. It's powerful. What is it working to overcome? Number one, we have a built-in negative bias. Why? Because positive shit don't threaten you. You see what I'm saying? Evolutionarily speaking, human beings are built to think negatively, not to be happy. That's a thing, right? Because the negative thing If you make a mistake and think that something is a freaking lion, but it's just a bush, you're going to survive way better than if you think that it's a bush and it's actually a lion. You're actually better prepared in life if you think negatively, right? So that's an evolutionary habit we have to overcome, but that doesn't lead to success. Success means that you have actually marshaled the forces of your being to a target, and we haven't defined it clearly yet. The target. What does 7 generations from now, hypothetically, is about 140 years from now. 140 years from now is literally the year 2161. And the year 2161. What? I mean, that sounds crazy. 21, nigga, what? Nigga, what? How far the fuck ahead is that, right? Well, it's coming. In the year 2161, what does the Black world look like? And I think that, like, I struggle with that when I even say those words, right? But successful people plan generationally.
Yeah.
Slaves plan for survival. Woo. And so marshaling our entire being towards a beautiful, compelling outcome is necessary, because even a true believer will tell you, my people die for lack of vision.
Lack of vision, that's right.
You have to find a vision.
We have to find a vision and make it plain, man. We're going to define the end game. Slaves plan for survival, right? My brother was dropping knowledge. No matter how beautiful a coffin may look, it will not make anyone wish for death. We are rearranging our habits, and we are making sure that we bring Black excellence. I'm so proud to have this amazing panel with me each and every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, where we can really dig in from a 7-generational lens. Here at CTN Media, we have dedicated our values to making sure that we are loud, we are unfiltered, and we are primed for change. We're certainly here to challenge a status quo. We won't settle until we get what we have came for, and that's a balanced, fair, and representative media landscape. We're here not to just settle to be second best, but we are mainstream media. So keep supporting media, keep supporting independent media, so we can make sure we become mainstream media. It's important that we are not just for the culture, but we could create the culture. It is so important that we continue to control, challenge, cultivate the narrative. You guys are tuned into 7 Generations Black. It happens every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, right here with this amazing team: Theo, EJ, Wilson, H Soul, Lethal, and Jice Johnson holding it down for the women. I'm your host, Shay J. Hey, all of y'all out there, I want to hear what your favorite episodes would be. I want to make sure that you are sharing this with someone in your network as well. What has been your favorite times of 7 Generations Black? Let us know what you've enjoyed, and keep super chatting us up, liking it, subscribing, because this is what it's going to take for us to really go to the next level. In this new season, I'm just claiming this new year, I'm claiming new levels for us. It's time for new levels. It's time to reach a whole nother entity. It's one thing about having the conversation around the same people and getting some people that agree and disagree, but it's another thing about breaking into another space. And it's time for us to go into another space with 7 Generations Black, because the power of this panel right here is unstoppable. I want to thank you all for your commitment to this platform, your commitment to being the narrative and really being a part of what it looks like to pick up our community. I don't care what anybody says, we're building a community right here. I don't know what the other community looked like before, but this is the community, and it's starting now, and we're really powering up the culture. So thank you for your commitment to 7 Generations Black. Make sure you guys tune in each and every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, while we continue to change the narrative. We appreciate you. Until next time, hustle hard for your 7 Generations Black. We love you, family. Peace and love.